Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. Welcome to Friday. It is Friday, January 19th. We're here to get massive. We're here to get alive. Right, Massive Iron Live. Appreciate you guys joining me. I'm here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's been like 5 years now we've been doing this, and I appreciate everybody's support. If you're new here, please don't be shy. Post up questions. Join the party. I'm here to help you make them gains, kids. Make them gains. We want them gains, right? So if you have any questions, post them up. Doesn't matter if they've been asked 1,000 times before. If your questions don't go through, try shortening them, because sometimes you can't really post longer questions in here. Or try, if you get filtered by the YouTubes, try using different words that don't involve naughty words. You got my microphone right here, right? High tech. It's kind of hidden here, right next to the old energy drink. So how's everybody doing? I got sick a couple weeks ago, had a cold, and back on the attack this week in the Massive Iron Gym, which is right over there. Had a good chest day, had a good back day, had a good shoulder day. Tomorrow is leg day. Tomorrow's leg day. And I did accidentally shave a little bit too close this week. So if I look extra sloppy or extra sexy, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. Anyway, before we get started, just a reminder, if you're late to the party and you have questions, you can always hit me up on Instagram. I've been the barman. Slide into my DM. I answer every question. In fact, I just answered some of those questions earlier. And for those of you guys that don't know, coaching is what I do for a living. It's my full-time job. I have a full slate of folks that I work with. It's what I love to do. And if you are interested in coaching, I have some of the lowest rates in the industry. I've been scolded by other coaches for having lower rates. That's not even a lie. And people ask me how I can keep the rates low. It's because I do it full time. I'm not just working with 10 people, trying to charge them $250 a month. My rates after the first month are only $89.40. So if you're frustrated with your progress, I would love to work with you. I check in 5 days a week, and everything is 100% personalized. So you can find the coaching tab here at superlivingtoday.com. Before we get started, a reminder, I have Team Massive, which is teammassiveiron.com. It is a community. If you've ever been involved with a Facebook group, it's like a Facebook group, but it is private, gated. We keep out all the trolls, all the political spam, all the religious spam, all the hate speech, all the crap. We just talk about lifting and nutrition. And I just want to encourage all the Team Massive folks that are on here too. When you see a new post in the locker room, try to check the locker room every day for new posts, because it's really important when we have members asking questions of other members that we keep an interactive, we keep that interaction going, because if not, we tend to chase people away. So keep an eye on that. So, all right. How's everybody doing? I am officially settled in here, and I am working on my book full steam. We're also working on my training app full steam. It's going to be brilliant. It absolutely is. We're not just doing another workout tracker. This is a tool for serious lifters from a serious lifter. And the analytics and data on this thing are going to be ridiculous, like nothing you've ever seen. We are slowly working on it. We're not working on it slowly. We're working on it on an ongoing basis. We have meetings about it every week, but keep an eye out for that. We're going to be doing beta testing for that soon. And if you've used any of the workout trackers like Strong or Heavy, good quality apps, I've used them myself. But this is going to be next level. This is going to be like something you've never seen before. So stay tuned. So anyway, let's get on to things. Just a reminder, if you post a question before live starts, you get a chance to win a free shirt from superlivingtoday.com. I have all kinds of shirts. So if you need some sexy workout apparel, I make like $3-4 a shirt. But we have some good quality stuff. I have hoodies, whey protein, creatine, top quality stuff, or you can win a Team Massive membership. Or if you just want to post a question and win a shirt and set it on fire to make a political statement, we'd be happy to help you out. All right, let's go. Let's get on. I think Assassin is first today. She is actually from Team Massive, and she's cleaning her room to this. So I would like to sing her a cleaning your room song, but I don't have any in my brain, so I won't. Your favorite assassin wishes you a happy Friday. Thank you. I have about 10% of my cold left, but it's not preventing me from lifting or feeling super mega awesome. So we're hanging in there. Rico, how's it going, Rico? Rico from Team Massive. Don't forget to DM me, Rico, with that split so I can help you out. Joy. It's been snowing here for a week. Good shirt, by the way. Good shirt. That's one of the Massive shirts. I appreciate you. We just got hammered with snow last night. It's been pretty mild, but the temperature actually warmed up and we got some snow. Ronan, how many weeks is preferred for an aggressive mini cut? I don't really look at it in terms of weeks. I look at it, number one, how can we sustain it? And two, what's your fat loss goal? Right? As long as you feel in the groove, just let it rip. If you start to feel a little bit loose or weak, bump it up to maintenance for a few days. There's no harm in that. But as far as weeks, you can do it as long as you want. There's no harm in losing. There's no fear, really. Let me rephrase that because I'm stumbling my words. You don't have to fear losing muscle because it's as long as you're training on a quick mini cut, you're not going to really lose muscle. Even if you did lose an ounce or two, muscle memory is a real thing and you'll get it back immediately. But it's always better to get the cut over with and get back on it. Some people have a fear they're going to lose mass. Look, there are guys I've interviewed in my time in this industry before I even did YouTube, guys like Sean Sullivan. I believe you can find his interview at Muscle and Strength. Sean competed like over 80 times, constantly in bulking and cutting phases, and he looks amazing, right? So even at that hardcore extreme bodybuilding level, these guys aren't losing mass, so we just have to keep that in mind. Training is always a mental battle, whether you can do another rep. It is a big mental battle. And even to this day, after 38 years of training, yesterday, I'm doing curls. We're at like rep 10, right? We, meaning all the voices in my head. And I'm thinking, do I go for 11? Physically, I can go for 11, but my brain's always fighting me. Just stop at 10. Get 11 next time. So it is very much a mental battle. Yvonne, good morning. Team Massive, thanks for joining in. Could you give some thoughts on differences between performing barbell front shrugs and behind the back? Well, what I find, and this might vary, but what I find is when you do a BTN shrug, it tends to hit the rear delts. I know I look silly doing that, but it tends to hit the rear delts pretty hard for me, like the most intense rear delt exercise. When you are doing a behind the back shrug, you're not doing that power move that you do on normal shrugs. It's very controlled. You have to almost stick your chest out and raise the bar above your glutes or above as high as you can to the top of your glutes. And just repeat that. That will give you a different way of hitting your traps, but it'll also provide you with really good stimulus for hitting your rear delts. Some people don't like the exercise. That's fair, but it's definitely a little bit different than doing regular shrugs. Would you view clear visual improvements in rep quality as a clear indication of progress, even if the total weight used? Yes, progression is progression. However we achieve it One of the underrated or understated important factors of muscle building is exercise form. Now, it's really easy for people in the bodybuilding community to assign arbitrary good form. Like, what is good form? Like in the gym, a bro's idea of good form might be completely different from what good form is. So, good form is really rather simple when it comes to muscle building. Um, are we sloppy with the weight? There's a difference between sloppy and power. Okay. And we have to establish that. When you are driving the weight off your chest on a bench press, you are powering it up. Power is not the enemy. If you did not power that weight, you would not get a rep in. The same with a barbell row. If you do not power the weight, you are not recruiting quality muscle fibers. You're not you're underusing weight. So power, like squatting, if you do not power out of the hole, you're not going to get a rep up. Deadlifts, if you don't power off the ground, you're not going to get a rep in. Curls, if you don't initiate with power, that initial power drive, you're not going to be able to get as many reps in. So we have to understand good form. Power is not the enemy. Power is a driving mechanism for hypertrophy. It helps recruit fibers. It helps tell the brain we need more fibers. We need this. We need to respond to this tension. So we don't turn power into sloppy. Power and sloppy are two different things, right? You can do a sloppy curl where you're using your lower back to initiate the move. You can do a seated cable row. And oddly enough, I saw a video of Dr. Mike doing this on his Instagram. I was a bit surprised, and no hate towards Dr. Mike, but when he was doing a seated cable row, he initiated with his torso and then his arms, which is backwards. You got to initiate you have to initiate that power with your elbow drive. So if you're doing a seated cable row, you could really sway with your lower back. And this is a lower back movement first and then drive back. And that's more of a cheat seated cable row. So power and sloppiness are two different things. But from there, one of the underrated aspects of form is controlling the weight down. You don't want to slow it, but you want to add good tension to your set. So if you're doing a seated cable row, you drive it back, then control it down. Drive it back, then control it down. Like on back work, when you're at the bottom here, whether it's here or a lat pull down, seated cable row, whatever, you want to get a little bit of a back stretch and then drive. It's like putting another round in the chamber. When you're lowering those seated cable rows, you don't just go here and stop with the elbow slightly bent. You want to get fully extended, a little bit of a back stretch, and then drive. Whenever you stop halfway and there's a little bit of an elbow bend, you're basically allowing the biceps to stop you a little bit. And we're splitting hairs here, but the goal is to get as much as we can out of a set, right? That's our goal. If we want to maximize sets, we have to make sure to pay attention to the minors. Does that make sense? So little things like that matter. The difference between good form and bad form on a seated cable row, bad form might be jerking with your lower back first and then doing elbow drive and then just letting it go down halfway and stopping here and not worrying about getting a little bit of a back stretch. It's nuanced, right? And in the gym, the bros often create arbitrary standards for what good form is. But long story short, not to ramble, but improving your form where it facilitates harder training and more focused training is certainly a form of progression. You give me the average lifter, and we go through every lift in their arsenal, every lift in their program. I guarantee probably 75% of their lifts need little form tweaks or improvements to get more out of that lift. And if you think about that in the bigger picture, you're in the gym training for hypertrophy. And if you improve all of a sudden, if you improve all your lifts, the overall impact on what you're going to get out of a workout is substantial. Substantial to varying degrees, obviously. That's one of the benefits of having coaching from someone that knows form, myself or anybody else, because you're not just getting a program, right? Anybody can get a program. There's millions of programs on the internet, literally, and I've probably written a quarter of them in all my years. I've written so many variations of programs, but a program is not, we've talked on this channel, F your program. Programs don't matter. What program you use doesn't matter as much as how you execute it. The foundation of my book, Massive Iron, is maximizing every set. And long story short, improving your rep quality, improving your form is a form of progression, and probably the most underrated form of progression. I should actually make a video on that exercise form. I'm writing this down right now. Exercise form improvements are the most underrated form of progression. All right. We'll make a video about this week and get our 1,500 views, right? How bad form is killing your gains. Maybe I should just make every video title how it's killing your gains, right? I asked on Team Massive, but would you explain recomping? All right. So recomping is like the magical unicorn or the magical dragon of the lifting industry. Basically, you have lifters that attach themselves mentally to a number on the scale. And this is a generalization. Not everybody is like this. We get that. But in my experience, 95% of the people that come to me about recomping have a number on the scale, and they want to stay at that number on the scale for whatever reason, right? Because in their brain, if they want to stay at 175 and they go to 178 in their brain, it's all fat gain. It couldn't possibly be muscle, right? That's just the way their brain works. Not being critical, it's just what I've seen. So a recomper tends to attach themselves to a number on the scale rather than what all trainers and experienced lifters know. It's not the number on the scale, it's how you look. So with that established, if you look at the consensus in the world of muscle building, you will find that guys like Dr. Mark, GVS, Dr. Mike, GVS, everybody agrees that being in a calorie surplus is a great facilitator for muscle. You can't hope to just stay at the. Here's a major issue with recomping that we need to process. You can't start at 175 or whatever the weight is. Hope to gain 20 pounds of muscle and in the process lose 20 pounds of fat while at maintenance calories. Do you understand how foolish that sounds? How nearly impossible that is? You want to stay at the same weight, but gain 20 pounds of muscle and lose 20 pounds of fat at maintenance level. How are you going to lose fat at maintenance level? Just asking. You could probably add a couple pounds of muscle. And maybe, but still you're going to gain a little bit of a scale weight if, theoretically, if you're at maintenance level. The whole recomping thing doesn't make sense, mostly because if you want a quality amount of mass, 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30 pounds, you have to lose the equivalent to stay at that same weight in fat. And how are you going to do that at maintenance level? Right? To lose that amount of fat, you're hoping to pull some Hogwarts school of lifting and somehow magically gain weight and lose fat at the same time. Now it's possible at a micro level, a couple pounds. And for someone that's fairly lean to begin with, you might notice that difference. But, in the longer run, trying to gain a substantial amount of muscle, this is really a bad idea. That's why in the Massive Iron world, we focus on basically the baseline is 10 and 10. We do 10-pound bulks, 10-pound cuts, 10-pound bulks, 10-pound cuts. Not everyone. Guys can do 15-pound bulks. How far you bulk you have to be able to unwind it with a cut. So if you are not good at cutting, you shouldn't be bulking. You certainly shouldn't be bulking aggressively, right? So the starting point, 10 pounds is a starting point. Bulk 10, lose 10, bulk 10, lose 10. Losing 10 pounds of fat is far, far, far more manageable, right? It's not as intimidating. And many, many, many of my clients do this. Some of them have periods where they gain 15. Some of them have periods where they gain 18, bulk 20. I'm not saying 10 is the only thing, but my clients that are nailing the 10-pound bulk over 3, 4, 5 months, then a 10-pound cut, then a 10-pound bulk over 3, 4, 5 months, they are improving their body composition dramatically in a year's time. Okay, when I say dramatically, they're building muscle and losing fat over a year period of time and staying at the same weight. This is efficient. This is focused, right? And it removes this fear, this tethering of our brain has to a number on the scale. Look, to be quite honest, you or anybody else, lifters or non-lifters, when they focus on a number, an arbitrary number on the scale rather than how they look, that's foolishness. It simply is. Any experienced trainer, anyone experienced with body composition, changing their body composition dramatically, will tell you it's not about the scale. It's about how you look. And if you want to maximize how you look, you're going to have periods of building and cutting and refining. That's bodybuilding. It's chiseling. It's adding clay and then removing unwanted clay. It's adding clay and removing unwanted clay. That's bodybuilding. Recomping is the Hogwarts school of magic. I'm just going to try and do things my way and stay at a certain weight and hope I build 20 pounds of muscle and lose 20 pounds of fat while staying at maintenance level. Ralph, happy Friday. Thank you, sir. Any tips on how to train yourself mentally to not dread some sessions? The starting point is to enter the arena knowing it's okay to fear. Okay. I don't like certain sessions. I don't like certain exercises. Not that I don't like them, but there's a sense of dread. There's a sense of impending doom, right? But what I do mentally, and this is something I learned in the military, is just focus on the next step. Don't fear the big picture. Focus only on the next step, only on the next set. Keep your mind on the next set. You can survive the next set, right? When you focus, like when I was squatting with 600 on my back multiple times a week, when I was at my strongest, it was living hell. I can't even begin to describe mentally the dread that I'd like to be one of these guys on social media that puffs up his chest and just, oh, it's so easy and everybody could do it and it doesn't bother me. But unracking 600 pounds without a spotter in a half rack, I would literally keep the phone next to me in case something went wrong. Anything, you could get a cramp mid-set. You could stumble walking out 600 pounds. A lot of things can go wrong. And when it goes wrong with weight on your back, bad things are going to happen. I would take these sets seriously. Seriously, it's not playtime. It is serious time. We need complete focus on form, complete focus on the next set, right? On the next set. You need complete focus. So my only advice is, okay, yes, there's dread, but I need to be bigger than the dread. I need to focus on the next set. I need to be locked in with form. Does that make sense? And motivation. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to clang in your ear. Motivation can't be forced. It can be cultivated. One of the ways you cultivate motivation is you surround yourself daily with things that are in your lane. So you want to be a heavy squatter? Watch a video or two each day of someone that is doing heavy squats. Watch a squat tutorial video as well. Read a squat article. Be on a community where other people are, where you're around like-minded individuals. That way you have a grounding point. Follow YouTubers that are big squatters. You have to find connection points. Okay. People often say you can't manufacture motivation. You can't manufacture passion. You certainly can cultivate it, right? It's just like health. There are certain things we can do for health that are good, and certain things that derail us, demotivate us, etc. If you want to be successful at anything in life, you need to find connection points with people doing the same thing. If you want to be the best gamer in the world at a specific game, you need to watch game tutorials. You need to study film of other people. You need to read articles. You need to join a community of that game. You need to immerse yourself in your goals, not to an unhealthy point, right? But there needs to be an immersion factor. The people I see pull away from their goals, like the general population fat loss, or the guys that are kind of on the fence about, 280, 300 pounds, they kind of lift a little bit, but they just can't sell out. They don't have these connection points. I see them come and go off Team Massive, and listen, I love you guys, but the guys that come and go, I know there's a good chance because they don't have the common connection points. It's not just Team Massive that's magic, it's anywhere. But they're losing their connection points. Guys that kind of dissipate from communities. Don't wake up and read about their goals. Don't wake up and listen to videos about their goals. Don't surround themselves with their goals. Look, if you want to lose weight and change your lifestyle, what's the better approach? Surrounding yourself with a bunch of schmoes and schmucks that are eating chicken wings and pounding beer and just hanging out on Sunday watching. Look, I love sports too, man. I do. I love to go upstairs and watch a basketball game or a soccer game or baseball game or football game just to relax and I like it too. But we have to realize we have to have balance. If you want to change your lifestyle and you want to add passion or fuel motivation, you need to surround yourself daily with things that are about the thing that you want to do. You do. If you want to have a lifestyle change, but you're not watching at least a couple videos a day, little YouTube videos about nutrition, food swaps. Hey, what can I eat instead of nachos that's healthy? Reading a book, following motivational lifestyle, fitness people. If you're not doing that stuff, then you're just floating out on an island, right? All by yourself. And part of success is community. Part of success are all these connection points, cultivating motivation. If you want a goal, unless you are the 1% that can just wake up every day like Rocky Balboa, having all these connection points are a good thing. Does that make sense? And a long-winded reply to Ralph's question, but training yourself mentally, you have to have this stuff. You have to be surrounded by people. You have to, but more than anything, to answer this question directly, you have to just be focused on the next set. You have to be focused on the next set. It gets 100% of your energy and focus. Big Justin Jones. Good morning, big hairy ugly dude. Anything wrong with elbows pointing back during squats? Yes. Okay. Um, Look, if it feels natural, that's fine. You know what feels natural to me, Justin? Sitting in this chair feels very natural, right? I got a chair right over there. You can see it. It's my little man chair when I need a break and, need to stretch out my back. We have to understand some things feel natural, but aren't always optimal. When you are doing a squat set, you want to pull down slightly before you're going to take a big breath. You're going to brace the core. You're going to pull down slightly on the bar. You're not trying to make the pull down harder than the actual squat rep, but you want to pull it down slightly. Okay. That's going to keep your upper back locked tighter. Okay. You're bracing, you're tight here, and then you lock down your back. So you're locking down your rear. Don't get excited because I said rear. Okay. So arms like this. Okay. One of the things you notice on somebody that's undisciplined on their squats is that their arms will start down, and then with each rep, they're creeping up. When the elbows creep up, what happens? It's going to naturally throw your weight a little bit more forward. Now you're like, big deal, right? No, it is a big deal. The more your weight is forward, the more stress you're going to place on your lower back, and the whole chain of a squat is going to be compromised to a minor degree. Does that make sense? So I don't care that it feels natural. Okay. Your question was, there's anything wrong? We want to set aside arbitrary, oh, it feels good, right? We're in a generation. If it feels good, it must be right. No. If it feels good, it might be wrong, right? Take your big breath, brace your core, and just pull down slightly. When you pull down slightly, your elbows are going to be in that nice position. You can't pull down slightly like this and have your elbows flared. So it might don't, like when I pull down slightly, it's barely an inch, maybe a half inch. You can barely notice it, but it helps me keep my upper back tight. And the more tight you are in this upper body when you descend, the less of variance you're going to have. If you're loose in the upper body, then it's easier to have some mild variance. And a little bit of that variance, if you get thrown forward just an inch, when you come up, that can cause your hips to rise and place extra stress on your lower back. It can cause all kinds of potential issues. Does that make sense? So in the massive iron world, and I'm about to swear, so you can mute this if you want, we have a saying called fuck your feelings. We do not give a fuck how you feel. You feel tired going in your workout? Boo-hoo. That doesn't mean your muscles aren't going to perform, right? We are separating our feelings from what's about to happen. I feel tired. You know how many times I've hit amazing PRs when I feel tired? I have learned that my feelings have no impact on what's going to happen in the gym. I still have to go into the gym and do the right thing. And I can feel tired. I can feel unmotivated. I can feel like a half a sack of crap. And I can go into the gym and I can have the best damn workout I've had in months. Fuck your feelings. We do not care how you feel about your elbows. We do not care how tired we are. We do not care how stressed we are. We do not predetermine the outcome of a workout based on our feelings. We are bigger than that. We are stronger than that. And we are on a mission. Feelings have no place. Now, that is different than if you're in the middle of warm-ups and you feel something wrong in a muscle, right? That's a physical feeling. That's when you have to pay attention and maybe adjust on the fly. But all of our feelings, right? I feel tired. I don't feel motivated. I feel like my arms should just float up during squats. I don't care, right? I don't care how you feel. Let's do the right thing. Stein, happy Friday, Stein. Jonathan, happy Friday. Thank you, sir. What are your thoughts on protein pre-workout if you train after breakfast? Well, whenever you train, you have to make sure you're not entering your training with any noticeable bloat or bullish feeling in your stomach. Okay. It's just the major issue with it is if you feel, we don't want to enter the workout feeling weak or drained or hungry or anything like that. We have to find the balance point. But when you enter a workout and you feel a little bit of something in that tum-tum, your body has to determine, where am I going to use the blood? Am I going to use it for the muscles being worked? Am I going to use it for the stomach? Okay. When you are resting, sitting, cooling, that's when more of the transference of the blood goes to your stomach. Okay. I'm resting now. So you're telling your body, I can use that blood for the stomach for digestion. But you get back at the set and you're using it for the muscles. So entering a workout with a lot of food in your stomach or a full feeling or whatever is just a recipe for a sluggish workout. Plus, it is a physiological reality that when you have a bigger meal, we tend to be hormonally a little bit like, our body wants us to sit so we can digest it, right? It goes along with what we're just talking about. Your body wants you to sit. It wants you to relax. It wants you to kind of take it easy so you can slow down all the physical movement and digest the food effectively. That's kind of the way it works in the bigger picture, the bigger scheme of things. So we want to find a timing that works for us where we can eat whatever you're eating, a banana and a protein shake, or maybe 2 hours before you're eating a chicken breast, some rice, whatever you're eating. Okay. We want to go into our workout not feeling bloated, not feeling anything in our stomach, but not feeling hungry or, mentally driven by food. Does that make sense? So protein pre-workout. If you're training at 10 in the morning, one of the biggest areas of focus needs to be hydration and electrolytes. When you wake up in the morning, you are going to be at your lowest from a water weight standpoint. You just spent whatever number of hours in bed, you're not drinking water, you're at a low point from a hydration standpoint. Your electrolytes are probably low a little bit. So when you get up, we don't need to overhydrate. We don't need to be part of the overhydration fear crew. But you need to get some water in immediately and at least some sodium in some form or fashion, straight out of bed. Let's charge our batteries. Let's get our water. Let's get our salt, sodium. And it's not a bad idea to get some carbs in right away in the morning. We don't have to overcarb. Could be fruit-based carbs, banana, grapes, whatever. That takes a while to digest, but it's still some carbs. It could be oatmeal, could be hash browns, taters. Protein and carbs, that's fine. We just don't want to enter full. So find that perfect balance. Would 3 or 4 sets of 8 be okay for the dumbbell? Yeah. Watch my Instagram video or my TikTok video from yesterday. Rep ranges don't matter. This is part of the evolving training based on needs. We have the freedom to move rep ranges around the board as long as they're reasonable. Is 3 or 4 sets of 8 reasonable for a dumbbell row? Absolutely. If you want to do 3 or 4 sets of 3, then I'd probably question your sanity. If you want to do 3 or 4 sets of 30, maybe we get away with that, but I'd be afraid your biceps, being the weaker muscle group in the mix, you might spork your biceps. So let me get a drink here, guys. We're about 40 minutes in. All right. So I've been drinking, I've been trying to get away from the monsters. So I've actually been drinking Diet Mountain Dew. couple in the morning in a lot of ice. So I'll put in a lot of ice. By the time it gets down, it's a lot more water. Number one, I'm switched to 2 of those to save money. This is my first monsters of the week, but on Friday we can have a little bit of fun, right? We can have a little bit of fun. You guys watching that haven't posted a question, please post one up. I'd be glad to help you out. Joy, any client you have right now that's crushing it. Many clients that are crushing it. Far too many to even elaborate on. Just far too many. I would say any trainer is going to work with people in a varying degree of. Some are still finding their way onto the tracks, and I'm trying to help them get on the tracks and stay on the tracks. Some are on the tracks, and those are the ones that you can really facilitate progress. I have so many clients making good progress just because they give the process time. They take nutrition seriously. They take the small plus one seriously. I have, quite honestly, just an endless amount of people making wonderful progress right now. So it's just too far to even begin to express. I only put up a certain number of people on social media because, number one, most people don't want to be pulled into where their physique is scrutinized by 20,000 people. And that's the way the world can be. They prefer just to be out of the social media fray, and I respect that. Drew said, I'd love to hear about a client that's absolutely crushing it. I have a lot. I don't know, man. Troy is crushing it. He's an older gentleman like me. I have a client in Australia that I feature a lot. Man, I got so many clients of varying. I got a fat loss client that's doing something I've never seen before. He started in the higher 4s, and he is just absolutely doing something I've never seen anybody do before. And I'd like to take credit for it, but all I'm doing is doing the cheerleading and the guiding, workout wise. He's crushing it. So, do you have a personal preferred rep range? It varies on every exercise. It literally does. Everything for me is exercise by exercise. Like, take my back day yesterday. I started off, I'm trying to do fewer sets of deadlifts just because I want to save energy for more other back variations. So I did 2 sets of 5 on deadlifts. I like to get in, be precise, get out, and slowly load there. Lat pull downs, I like to do 10s because on the last set when I'm pushing for 12 or 13, anything above 10 feels tedious. Same with T-bar rows. Inverted rows about 10. It's really exercise by exercise, so that's the way it really should be for all of us. You don't want to back yourself into a corner where you are saying, I have to use this rep range on everything. Joyce said different for different muscles. I understand. It's all exercise derived. What feels good. On dumbbells, for example, dumbbell bench, I like to do 15s. Makes no sense, does it? But curly whirlies, I get to rep 8 and I hate life. Like getting to 10 is just a strain for me. Triceps work, I love higher reps. So there's this weird dichotomy where I love higher reps on certain things and I hate higher reps on certain things. So I work within convention, usually 5 to 15, depending on the exercise. Happy Friday, and thank you for delivering 100% legit content. Thank you. I appreciate that. Big Chris Jackson. If you try a new exercise and you hit 20 reps when you push your last set, would you add a lot of weight? I would probably take 2 steps up. Okay, so here's what I mean. You're doing dumbbell bench for the first time, haven't done it in a while, and you hit 20 reps with like 40s. Do you have to go to 45s? I probably would, right? Because I understand that you can't rush the process, right? You can't shortcut the process. Plus, I want my connective tissue to strengthen. Could you jump to 50s? Yes. If you did lat pull downs, like 20 reps with 100, could you jump up over 110, go to 120? Yes, you can. Just use common sense. If it's a compound lift you haven't done in a while, adding another week where you only add 5 pounds isn't going to make or break anything over the long run. If anything, it's going to provide a smoother curve for your connective tissue to get up to speed. Does that make sense? What are your top 2 short-term and long-term goals? Short-term is to have consistency with training. Last year with moving twice, it was just a lot of chaos. I got pretty consistent after we had moved in to the first house. I had really good training for 3 or 4 months, and my bench was back up around 400, and I was killing it. And then I had to go through all this horse crap moving house again for like 2 or 3 months and getting everything in order. That threw me off, but I'm in a better place now. And I just want to develop consistent lifting. I was consistent out of the gate. Then, of course, I got sick, right, for 10 days. I hadn't been sick with a cold in 3 years. That's just the way it goes. And now I'm back at it. So consistency in training is a big thing, and I want to get back to running as well. Just when I want to get back to running, it's like -7 degrees and absolutely freaking freezing outside, and I'm sick. So long-term goals, shredded, to get everybody accusing me of using megaroids and monster cycles. Right. I say that tongue in cheek, but it's the way of the world, right? You know you're doing something right if people are accusing you of megaroids. Long-term goals are to be able to bench close to 400, be able to run a 50K, and be in the best, leanest shape of my life. I actually lost, boom, 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 little pec bounce there. I actually lost about 10 pounds in the 3 months of the moving process, even though I drank. I thought I had gained weight. I stepped on the scale and I actually lost 10 pounds. Chris, tips, cues for close grip bench. My back really wants to arch and let my chest do the hard work. Why does your back want to arch? Lay on the damn bench, Chris. Stop worrying about your lower body. You can put your feet on the bench, but just try to you want to keep your feet planted, but not overly braced, right? Don't worry about what your back is doing. Just press the damn weight. I'd like to see a video though, to see, what's going on. Like, it's okay to have a little bit of a natural arch. That's not going to necessarily transfer all the stress to your chest. And on a close grip bench, you're still going to be working your lockout hard. So my main advice for you is you're a little bit in the overthinky zone right now. I would just relax, trust the process, and get strong on close grips. In the massive iron world, no one shaves their fur. I don't know about that. Maybe in your world, no one shaves their fur. I hope most of you have entered the 2000s where you shave your furry patches so we don't get a mess, right? Back in my day, no one shaved their furry patches, but you gotta shave some things. You gotta take care of yourself. You can't look like an ape, but it looks like you shave your forearms and your delts and your nipple region. What shoes are good for lifting? I don't overthink them. I don't overthink things. My honest opinion is that over my 38 years of lifting, shoes don't matter. When my deadlifts form is locked in, it doesn't matter if I'm wearing a $20 Walmart, you know, athletic shoe or a Chuck Taylor flat shoe. I mean, for some on the squat, the heel elevation certainly matters. But the one thing I've personally learned, and I'm not saying this is a case for you, but shoot, it just, some things get so overhyped. And again, I'm not saying there aren't cases where shoes don't matter for you. Certainly can be. But I do think that we tend to over focus sometimes on footwear. Like, I have to get the magical squat shoe, or I have to use the magical shoe for deadlift. I've been in that world. I was in that world. And when I got a little bit lazier and just started wearing whatever shoe I want, I really didn't notice the difference. Have you learned anything new this week? I've learned to watch research movie titles a little bit better. Me and my wife usually do a movie night on Thursday, and we saw a movie with Carrie Coon, who's in a lot of shows lately. She's a woman with kind of a weirder, thicker voice. Great actress. The movie was called The Nest. Well, it was some family drama, but there was also a Nest from her movie was 2020. There was also a horror science fiction or a horror movie from 2021 called The Nest. We thought we were watching a horror movie with Carrie Coon called The Nest, but we were watching some boring ass, awful drama called The Nest with Carrie Coon. So I learned to always double check because there might be movies put out the same year with the same title. If we could talk to anyone that are alive for a whole day, first off, I wouldn't want to talk to anybody for a full day, right? I'd rather talk to you for like 30 minutes and get all the questions out. And I don't know. That's a very, very good question. I think most of all, I like to have deep discussions on the nature of space, the nature of matter, the nature of reality. I find those the most interesting. Just entertaining questions like, why is there matter at all in an empty vacuum? The endless vacuum of space. Why is there matter? A very important question. And I'm not getting religious at all. That's not my intention. But it is probably the most important question in my mind when it comes to space. Why is there a thing in a vacuum? Why is there matter? If it's the natural state of existence for matter to exist, why is that? Just so many interesting questions about space. So I'd probably want to talk to somebody that finds this stuff as interesting as I do, right? Joe B, good morning. Barbell Booty. I said booty. Beauty, sorry. That was a stupid slip. And Barbell Bryce, Team Massive. All right, time to give away something. I'm going to give away some goodies to Joy Patch just for all the questions this morning. I appreciate them. Joy, you can hit me up on Team Massive on DM. Let me know what you want. I'd be glad to hook you up. Live starts now. All right, we're 55 minutes in. We're going to keep rolling as long as you guys have questions. Let them rip. If you are new here, if you're new to the channel, check out my website, superlivingtoday.com. Check out my book, Massive Iron. There's a PDF version and a hard copy version. And you can actually see the hard copy version there. you want to learn more about my philosophies, that book's like 9 years old now. I'm putting out another one. Right now, I'm working on it. Right now, working on a hardcore because the lane is clear. And it's going to be a major upgrade to my philosophies, workouts, etc. It's just going to be really a hardcore muscle building book. I've considered doing a pre-order, but I'm always leery about doing pre-orders if I don't deliver on time. So joy pass, and so does our gains. Thank you. Because live starts now, so do our gains. Mike, good morning. I understand it is important to open your knees for squats. I would say not important, essential. What happens physically when you open your knees that makes it correct? When your knees are in, okay, here's the angle of your feet, whatever that happens to be, slightly angled out, okay? Slightly angled out. The angle from your hip to your knee or your thigh angle has to basically match the angle of your foot. If the angle of your knees or thighs are inside of that angle, as you go to reach depth, what you see 9 times out of 10 is the heel will lift and raise in. The knees are forward, heels lift and raise in. If you're looking at a side view, the bar moves forward. You're unable to hit proper depth because the alignment of your thigh and your knee is not jiving. There's a breakdown in leverages. There's a breakdown in geometry. And what happens is your heels lift, raise in, weight goes forward, and your squat turns into a hot, steaming turd, to put it politely. And it is the most common form issue. Now, you want to control your squat down. You want to get to the point where you can control your squat down. What is happening is people develop a fear, and it is a fear. I believe in 90% of the cases, knees in squatting, knees forward squatting is developed as a fear. If you put the weight on your front for a front squat, almost 9 times out of 10, their knees will open up. If you do a safety squat bar where the weight is forward, more forward, 9 times out of 10, the knees open up. You put a weight on your back and they become more self-protective and the knees kind of move forward. Again, extremely common. This is the most common squatting issue I deal with on a daily basis. Now, if you're sitting in a chair right here, and I want you guys to try this, okay? And this is going to sound weird. We're going to play with our glutes a little bit. Don't get excited. Okay, clench your glutes. Clench your glutes. You can almost feel your legs pushing open, okay? If you're clenching them, then you relax, what happens? Your knees cave in. So what happens here is we have to not just worry about opening our knees, but we have to think about opening our hips or rotating our hips open. That will help facilitate a more natural squat. But we have to do this in a natural state. It can't be mechanical. We just have to learn to squat naturally with our knees open. For those of you guys that are struggling with this, you have to understand that you have to be practicing this on all your warm-up sets. You have to freaking relax a little bit. Not be so tense and not be so mechanical and not tighten everything so rigid when you're going down. Right? Relax a little bit. Just squat naturally. You're not almost there. That you're not. The Jickle. Hey, big, hairy, ugly dude. What do you think of functional workouts? Strength training is functional. You want to get functional and better at all movement patterns, stronger. Press overhead, pull from overhead, press forward, pull towards the body, do a squat motion, pick something off the ground, and do loaded carries. Completely functional. I want to get back to the gym, but focus less on deadlifts, squats, or bench, and get into more speed and strength. Speed and explosiveness. Now, one thing you need to understand is that overall strength and muscle is going to build a bigger, broader platform for speed and strength and explosiveness. So you can't get away from doing hypertrophy or conventional training. That's going to stunt your platform for speed, strength, and explosiveness. So the biggest tip is don't abort the mission. If you want to do some extra stuff, like training your vertical leap or sprinting speed, then find a coach or somebody that teaches you to do that, but you still need the platform of strength training, no matter who you are. Barbell Beauty. You sound better today, Steve. I am feeling better, about 90%. Thank you. Larzo, do some people have a worse fat to muscle ratio on bulks? Absolutely, but we don't do fat bulks when we do it right. It really comes down to training. Like, everybody's on a different place training wise. We talked earlier in this video about improving your form as a method of progression. No two lifters are at the same spot when it comes to every lift. Some lifters have some injury history. Some people are learning to master their squats and deadlifts. Everybody's at a different place, but the variance is super small. Right? We're only looking at a 10-pound bulk, so you're only looking at like a few pounds difference when it comes to fat gain. And if 2 to 3 pounds of fat gain bothers you, you're in the wrong game. You really, really are. Either that or you need counseling. And I'm not saying that lightly, but if the thought of gaining a few extra pounds of fat in the process of trying to gain 20 pounds of muscle scares you, you're in the wrong game, my friend. Happy Friday. What are your thoughts on face pulls? That's all my thoughts. I think there's overhyped. And then you'll get the people. They're good for posture. I use them for posture. You know what? So are rows. I mean, let's be real here. You want to work on your posture, do something more impactful, right? Like something with heavy ass weight rather than look at my posture improving. Come on. Let's get out of the fairy tale world. Like, it might help a little bit, but there's better things to do we're doing it for our posture. There's better things to do. The issue I have with face pulls is that they're in the Stone Age, right? The more you progress, the more you have to kind of lean back. I'm not saying they can have value. Every lift can have value. They're just such an overhyped, over-focused lift. And whenever we get some lift that's elevated into this God tier level of overhype and overfocus, we have to have some pushback. Number one, if you're interested in posture, you need a lot of big rows more than you need more face pulls. Okay, let's be real. Number two, as a lift itself, when you progressively overload it, the heavier you get, the more you tend to lean back, which kind of negates the progressive overload. You're better off doing them chest supported, so you don't have to lean back to initiate the weight. You can get a truer progression trajectory. And if you do them properly and targeting the rear delts, yes, they're an okay exercise. There are a lot of other good rear delt exercises. I'm not by any means telling you guys they're not an exercise you can use. Some of my clients use them. What I want to caution you guys against is drinking the Kool-Aid that there's some God-tiered essential. To be honest with you, they're like a second-tier exercise. I find there are better choices in many cases, but I am not and never will be somebody that'll say any exercise is useless, or in all cases, face pulls are better or worse than something else. We do not do that, right? I just want to caution you guys into buying into the overhype. You can do rear delt work on shoulder or back day or both. Yes, you can. So I'm just going to phrase that as rear delt work. Whatever's convenient. I tend to do a little bit on shoulder day because my shoulder day is less intense than back day. Back day can have deadlifts and dumbbell rows and seated cable rows and a lot of big hitters, shruggies, and a lot of big hitters. So it just makes more sense to do it on. All right, we got a stupid comment in, just came in from Comrade Bog. I'm drunk. That's nice. And you're also banned for being an idiot. We don't tolerate idiots here. So have a nice day. I'm drunk. You're also banned, idiot. I take great pleasure in swatting flies. I'll probably come back with 20 other accounts. Let's see. We got more snow and ice here. Don't you wonder? Did you ever wonder? Like, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing content for a long time, forums for a long time. Don't drink it live. I've been doing this for a long time, YouTube for a long time. Do you guys ever wonder? I know you do. Like, the idiots that just, have nothing in their life. It's kind of sad in a way. I don't know. There's so many layers to this. I don't know. Maybe they have mental health issues, but these people that there are people that literally create 5 to 10 new accounts weekly just to harass YouTubers. I've seen it. I've been around YouTubers the last 12, 13 years, and I know what they go through. Like nearly everyone has these epic level trolls that just spend their whole days creating new accounts. You're a dork. Okay. Tell me something I don't know. Right. You're weak. Okay. Right. How tall, a lot of them want to know how tall you are. Like, how tall are you? So they can compare themselves like, haha, I'm a half-inch taller. Woohoo. Right. Way to go. You're still an asshole. Nobody likes you. Right. So it just amazes me, the level of dedication that some of these folks have to trying to make he'll be off. Comrade Bog will be off somewhere else on somebody's other channel posting, I'm drunk. Give me attention. Right. My dad was never around. Something. I don't know. I don't really care. We're here to talk about lifting. Matt, we got more snow and ice here in Nashville last night. Glad I got legs in yesterday. Yeah, sorry to hear that, man. I hope winter ends soon for all of us because I'm quite frankly over it already. On a cut, should you reduce calories on a weekly basis or only when the trend starts to go up? Well, we always adjust based on what is our target? How much weight do we want to lose? Okay, we start off with an idea. How much weight do we want to lose per week? That's a good starting point. So we set a calorie target. We monitor our weight. Let's say we're hitting our weight, but we don't really feel hungry. So there could be room to lower the calories a little bit more. We don't want to go super aggressive. So there's some factors here. Am I hitting my target weight loss? How is my hunger? A lot of my clients, I'll ask them, how's your hunger? How's your hunger? Like this guy, all he does is ask me how my hunger is. Yes, because we're trying to figure out if we can lower calories and expedite the fat loss process, right? Because one of the worst things you can do is be overly hungry on a cut. There's going to be periods where you're going to be hungry. But, we want to not be overly hungry. And when you are hungry, there are certain things we can do to combat that by like increasing lean protein, moving fats to 20% of your daily calories. So we want to look at, are you hitting your target? If not, bring calories a little bit lower. Are you hitting your target? How is hunger? Not really there. We can take calories lower. Does that make sense? Big Bill Baker. Happy Friday. Thanks for tuning in. In your recent video, you talk about Pinky on the ring Oh, we got a phone call. Sorry. In your recent video, you talk about pinky on the ring for the bench. I have an inner and outer ring on the bar. Okay. There are there are bars with two rings. And let's see. There's two standards, the IPF and the IPA. Okay. I don't know if I got that right, but here's the reasons why there's bars with two rings. There are two international standards that differ. So the bars that have two rings have these international standards on them. Okay, both of them. So what you have to do is, I mean, when it comes to grip width, the big point of the video I made is that we have to adjust it to a point where we're not super close, where it's comfortable enough where we know we're working our chest. We don't have to go like super wide, right? But we want to. The point of the video mostly was to be aware that there's a chance you might be a little too narrow and to widen it a little bit if you want to place some more stress on the chest. So those different rings, let's see, two rings. I want to see if I can find this. Two rings, barbell, IPF, is it IPA? IPF. There's two separate rings. Let's see, two separate rings. I have a video on here, but I don't want to play it. But the video is called Weightlifting versus Powerlifting versus General Purpose Barbells Explained. And explain the barbell between two rings and one. And the IW, one of those, there's two rings. One of the standards is put out by the IWF, or International Weightlifting Federation. The other is the IPF, International Powerlifting Federation. That's why there's two rings, and they are literally about an inch and a half different. So just keep that in mind. Big Zach. Hey, hello, Massive Iron. About 3 weeks into my cut, and the weight is dropping and stomach is tightening. Good place to be. Can't wait to get back on the bulk. Excellent. That's a good place to be. Now, I did put up a poll, and any of you watching on the old YouTubes, let's check in on the poll. It says, is hard training more mental or physical battle for you? 44% said mental, 19% said physical, and 38% said both. So we're at about 19 out of 100% that say straight physical, and the rest mental. So that's interesting. Where we at? I know fat loss is mostly calories in, calories out, but I hear terms like glycogen depletion thrown around. Are there other factors that feed into fat loss? You're going to be glycogen depleted, or it's easy to be glycogen depleted when you are trying to lose fat. We want to maximize meal timing. That doesn't mean we need to get anal about it, but we want to maximize meal timing when we're trying to lose fat. So you probably want to have about an hour and a half before you lift, a little bit of carbotrons, a little bit of protons. So you have some glycogen in your muscles when you head into the gym. That'll help you feel better or perform better. And when you get out of the gym, you probably want to have, within 2 to 3 hours, your bigger meal, or a lot, higher percentage of your calories for the day to help with recovery and glycogen storage and all that kind of good stuff. But fat loss really comes down to small changes, a little bit extra movement, a little bit extra cardio, slightly fewer calories, and what you eat matters. Okay. You can maximize the thermogenic effect of food, or how many calories it takes to burn your food, by eating more lean proteins, because it takes more calories to digest those proteins, and by maximizing your carbotrons by moving them more towards plant-based. If you're just eating white sugar, white flour on a cut, it's very quickly digested, not a lot of energy required to digest it. But if you are digesting all lean protein and fibrous or bulky stuff like broccoli and carrots and strawberries, because strawberries don't have a lot of calories relative to their bulk, grapes, watermelon, your body is working harder for that energy. So you're burning more calories for the same amount of energy. So one of the factors is food quality. Okay. Does that make sense? Big JM. In reference to yesterday's grip width video, how much, if any, should your grip width vary on incline? Not at all. The only major difference on incline is to understand that the further back your elbows go, the more stress you're placing on your shoulders on any press. Okay. Further down, more stress you're placing on your shoulders. Further down your elbows go. So on an incline, you just have to make sure you lower it to a point that feels good. If it feels good, stopping an inch or two above your chest, that's fine, right? Stopping at your chest is actually an arbitrary standard, and that can be confusing. That can curl a few people's pubic hairs or straighten a few of their pubic hairs, but it's a reality. Stopping a press, a barbell bench or an incline press on your chest is an arbitrary standard. Yes, in powerlifting, it has to be a standard. But when you consider everybody's limb lengths and leverages are different, where they get a good chest feel, that could be an inch off the bar. That could be an inch below your chest, right? It could vary. So we want to make sure, first and foremost, we're servicing a natural feeling when it comes to pressing. So incline, just take it to a point where it feels natural. If you want to focus more on the triceps, yes, you're going to narrow your grip width. Are very short 10-day mini cuts okay? Yep, they are. What we have to look at when it comes to body recomposition is, in lifting, we look at sets per week, right? Volume per week. In body recomposition, we look at, now there's a couple factors here, and I want to explain this because doing frequent mini cuts, short mini cuts, can also stunt your muscle growth, and I will explain that. So we don't want to do them frequently. But we have to look at the 12-month period and how much of a time we want to be in a deficit to facilitate perfect body composition for us. Now, if you somebody came to me once, and I don't remember if it was on a live or what, and they want to know, can I do a 10-day bulk, 10-day cut, 10-day bulk, 20-day bulk, 10-day cut, 20-day bulk? No. That's super inefficient, because after a cut, even if it's a mini cut, it's going to take a week for you to stabilize, right? Kind of stabilize, eat a little bit more, water weight's going up, glycogen's going up, and that hit that your muscles took for those 10 days, and you're going to basically, if you're down a hole 10 days, it's going to take 10 days to get back up out of that hole. So that's dumbed down, and that's super bro science-y, but it's reasonable. If you do a 20-day cut, it might take you 20 days to get back out of that hole and get back to normal, where you were before, weight-wise, whatever. It's a reasonable assessment, okay? So if you're doing like a 20-day cut, a 10-day bulk, a 20-day bulk, a 10-day cut, a 20-day bulk, what happens is every cut you do forces a reaction. And then you have to dig yourself out of that hole. So if you have a 30-day block where you're doing a 20-day bulk and a 10-day cut, you really only have about 10 days of productive training out of that whole 30-day block. So 33% of your training month is productive, because you do a 10-day cut, and then the first 10 days of the bulk, you're just getting back up to the hole you dug, and then you have 10 days to perform. So even in a 2-to-1 ratio, you are basically only about 33% efficient when it comes to muscle building. Let's say you do a 4-month bulk, a 1-month cut, and you're back into a 4-month bulk, and it might take you 2 or 3 weeks, with 4 days to get back up to speed. But we're at like a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio of effective training to downtime, so it's much greater. If in that mix, you want to slip in a 10-day mini cut because you got something come up, because you can really focus, go right ahead. One or maybe 2 of those a year are perfectly okay. You just don't want to overbake them and overdo them. Do you feel there is a benefit to taking casein? There's no downside. It's a slow digesting protein. For those of you guys that are watching, we got 70 now. Thank you for watching. Please post up your questions. I'm here to help. So casein protein, there's no downside. It's slower digesting. There's no downside to taking it before bed. There's really not. It's a case of, when it comes to like taking a multivitamin or taking a fish oil or taking casein, there's potential upside, but no real downside. Does that make sense? So if we are in the business of maximizing everything, which if we're really serious about muscle building, could there be potential upside to taking casein before bed? Yes. Is there any downside? No. So if you're playing a game where there's no downside but potential upside, it comes down to, can I afford it? Do the calories fit my schedule? Does that make sense? On the Kelso shrug, would you suggest a retract to the scapula, back, or traps to ears? Well, what I did this week was like this. Okay. You want to get the stretch here. Arms are basically locked. Stretch a little bit forward. Okay. And then retract. A little bit forward. And then retract and hold for a split second. If you want to do that type of movement on a vertical plane, it's up. But you can't, you can go up and back. Okay. You can go down, up and back. You can do that as well. The traps are a very complicated muscle region. Let's put it that way. I want to phrase it, because you have the vertical plane. You have kind of the high, mid, and low area of the traps. You have the vertical plane. You have the retracted, and then you have the lower that just kind of holds or stabilizes. So there's no real wrong way. If you want to work in some shrugs where you lift up and retract your lats back, right? You can. I think that's a little bit redundant. I would prefer to do regular shrugs, heavy shrugs, because the vertical plane responds really to heavy work. And then if you're going to do like a scapular retraction, I would rather have it like in the horizontal plane, or like in the case of a seated dumbbell row, you're going to get it in anyway. So you could potentially have that as your last lift in your rotation. The last 40 years, which has been worse, mainstream training or nutritional information? Oh, wow. I'm going to give this some mainstream training because there's so much horse shit. Excuse my language, but there really, really is. We have so many confusing trainers that don't understand the difference. They're confusing people, the difference between conditioning work and work that helps you build a better body, right? The bodybuilding world has it right. We do lifting to get stronger, right? Physical freedom makes us look better. You have lifting, progressive overload lifting, which is what we are doing. Good for health, makes you look better, gives you physical freedom in many ways. Very nice. Then you have conditioning work, which is doing some form of conditioning. It can vary from sprinting work to trail running, kettlebell swings, circuits of kettlebell swings, jumping rope, loaded carries. We have general strength, endurance, and conditioning work. No downside to that. Okay. We also have long-term endurance work. So we have endurance, we have conditioning, and we have basically hypertrophy, strength building. So we kind of have three aspects of training. But the mainstream training, the workouts that endlessly focus on confusing the muscle by doing circuits and random crap with dumbbells and never have any progressive overload, that's okay for conditioning, but it confuses the average person. Occasionally, I will get people that come to me and they'll have worked with a trainer for a long time, and that trainer gave them like a different program every 2 weeks. And they'll expect me to give them a different program every 2 weeks. I'm like, nah. That's not how it works, friendo. This is punch the clock, punch the clock, punch the clock. Hypertrophy, strength building, muscle building is punch the clock. Conditioning work can be wall balls, burpees, kettlebell swings, jumping rope, whatever. That can involve strength training. That's a whole different ballgame. That's for conditioning, for general health. It might help kick up the fat burning a little bit. But if you're not progressively overloading that, it's not going to have a long-term body composition benefit. You can do all the kettlebell swingy wingies you want with your 40-pound kettlebell. Then do a circuit with jumpy ropies. Then do a circuit with burpee worpies. That's great. Good stuff. If it's not progressively overloaded, the body's going to adapt to it, and you're not going to build muscle with it. And this is where the mainstream training nonsense, muscle confusion, jump around, do a lot of movement is associated with a better body. It's not. It's not that it isn't a good thing. But if you want to build a better body, you need to take body recomposition seriously. And therein, we're back in our world. Bulks, cuts, resistance training, progressive overload, punch the clock, punch the clock, punch the clock, right? Joy Pass. I appreciate how detailed you are in answering questions that require them and straight to the point on things that should not be complicated. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate all your guys' feedback, because doing this for a living, I'm a 56-year-old man in a world of 20-year-olds. And I want to continue to do this for the rest of my life. That would be the epitome of a wonderful life for me. And I appreciate your support. I refuse to get old. I refuse to be old, look old. It'll happen eventually. But I want to be in the fight with you guys. Age doesn't fucking matter. I'm in the fight with you guys. I'm doing the same thing you guys are. And I want to stay in that fight. I don't want to be a gimmick. I don't want to be a 57-year-old guy who just makes videos for 50-year-olds. I want to be a fucking bear. I want to be a fucking force of nature until I can no longer do it. And if I would ever be confined to a wheelchair or have a serious health issue, I will continue to fight in whatever arena given to me. Because one thing about life is you only get one turn on the Ferris wheel, my friends. And whatever cards you get that are still in play, I'm going to make sure I maximize them. I've seen people get all kinds of vile things in this world. Unexpected guys that take care of themselves getting cancer or developing a disease. I've had a friend who had some kind of a rare brain leakage, and they couldn't figure it out, and it was completely random. Fluid was leaking from his brain. Just a normal dude. Life is unpredictable, and it is certainly fleeting. I've spent the last 15 years of my life dedicated to this, just full force. In another 15 years, I'll be lucky to be on planet Earth. I'm not going to waste that time. I don't want to be a gimmick. I don't want to be somebody that caters to 50-year-olds. I do not give a shit what your age is. You don't need special rules. You just need to work around whatever. You need to work with whatever cards you got in play. I don't care if you're 18, you're 38, you're 58, or you're 78. What cards do you have? Let's see your hand. Let's go maximize them. One thing I freaking hate is the body is fragile, people, in fitness. If you don't get enough sleep, I posted on this on Instagram. You don't get enough sleep, you might as well quit. If everything's perfect, you might as well quit. This and that is killing your gains. Have to have this perfect. Have to have that perfect. The body is fragile. If you don't eat 2.3 minutes after fucking lifting, the wheels are going to fall off the bus. All this stuff is bullshit. It's complete bullshit. The body is not that fragile. You fall into this toxic mindset that the body is fragile. You are being sucked into their world of their stupid fucking clown college world. The body is fragile. The body is fragile. The body is not fragile. You do not have to stop squatting if you like to squat. Oh, the body is fragile. We can't do dumbbell rows because there's a 0.07% chance you'll get a hernia. Who gives a fuck? We're not being reckless. There's about 100% chance if you sit on your fucking fat ass and eat Doritos that you're going to feel a hell of a lot fucking worse than the person doing dumbbell rows. I hate the body is fragile, killing your gains, people. What the fuck are you doing? All I know is this. If you're going to sit on your fat ass and eat ice cream like Augustus fucking Gloop, then you're going to have hell to pay. And you're going to have, look, you want to do that? Go right ahead. Enjoy your life. You get one life. If that's the way you want to go out, go out. Enjoy it. I'm not judging you, but you got to know the game you're playing. But what I find ridiculous is those of us that want to go out and attack life, that want to be about something, that want to be about physical culture, that want to be about building strength, that love the fucking squat or love the fucking deadlift, or maybe you just love fucking burpees, or maybe you love to climb mountains, whatever. The people out there that push this narrative that the body is fragile. We're all going to die, folks. There's always a downside to any physical pursuit. But I'll tell you what, the body is far more resilient and the mind is far more resilient than these knuckle fuckers are giving it credit for. Optimal sleep, optimal nutrition, optimal programming. Fuck you. It's not that we don't want to maximize things, but it's this toxic mindset. You can't do a leg extension. It might hurt your little poor knee. Shut the fuck up. Seriously. You can't do a dumbbell row. There might be 2 people got a hernia last year from doing a dumbbell row. That's weak. You know how many people got hurt doing any resistance training at all? Hell of a lot more than the 2 people that got a hernia from doing dumbbell rows. Hashtag Athlean X. Hashtag killing your gains. All this nonsense aside, one of the things I teach is the body is not that fragile. We're not going to be reckless. We're not going to punish ourselves. We want to find a state where we can perpetuate what we love to do with minimum risk, minimized risk. I just spent the last 10 years of my life, 15 years of my life, training harder than ever, the hardest I've ever trained, using all the lifts I shouldn't be using, and running 10, 12, 14 hours a week. Everything's going to kill my gains. Doing calisthenics work, doing burpees, doing all the stuff. Listening to all the voices on social media. You're fat, you're old, you're short, you're weak. Dude. None of that stuff. You don't get it. These people do not get it. This is not a competition, right? I'm weak. I'm fat. I'm short. I don't have the perfect body composition. I do not give a fuck because I enjoy what I'm doing. The body is not that fragile. Go live fully, be smart, be sustainable. I don't know how I got on this, right? Really, I don't. But the body is fragile, crew. The body is fragile, crew. I don't know. I guess it's making somebody money. It's a weak mindset. I won't have access to a weighing scale for some time. Should I bulk more aggressively in this time to make sure? What I would do is be a little bit more intuitive. First off, if you don't have access to weigh yourself, you probably want to have a meal structure. What are you going to eat? When are you going to eat? A reasonable meal structure. So number one, you don't want to be hungry. Okay. When you are at kind of that where you feel your maintenance stages intuitively, where you're not hungry and your calories are pretty consistent on a daily basis, I would then probably add in an additional 300 to 400 calories per day just to be safe. Keep a visual check. We don't want to be overeating, but that's probably a good place to be. Virus. Well, I'm still hungry on a bulk. I don't know, man. I need to know more details. What your weight is doing, where your calories are at, where the scale is at. Sometimes the more frequently we eat, we get on kind of this insulin roller coaster, even though it's clean food, and we feel more hungry. So I'd need to know more information. What do you think of ashwagandha, Tonkat Ali, and Fadagio as suggested by Huberman? I take ashwagandha. I've been an editor in the fitness industry. I've written articles about ashwagandha. I have commissioned articles on ashwagandha, and I've read up on ashwagandha. And there is potential reasonable benefit, maybe from a stress, anxiety, whatever standpoint. We have to ask ourselves, what is the possible downside? What is the possible upside? Can I have a possible upside? Yes. Can I have a possible downside? Not really. One of my clients took it and said it made him feel more anxious. If that's the case, then just stop using it. Is it costly? No. I take gummies off Amazon, super cheap, and it's not costly at all. Now, anytime you get into anything that's a test booster, I would not spend the money on that at all. I would not. Number one, it's not going to improve your gains. Even if your testosterone was a little bit, like testosterone is not going to jump all over the place unless you're sleep deprived for a week and doing nothing but eating crap and pounding alcohol. Then you might dive your test levels 100. But in the long run, it's going to be rather stable. Taking a test booster is a waste of money in every case. There's just not enough research on anything to make it worthwhile. You're better off cleaning up your diet, getting out in the sun, exercising, and doing all the right things. That's far and away free and 100 times more effective in the long run than any test booster. Fadagio. So let me see if there's anything on examine.com. Because examine.com, Fadagio agrestis, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, also known as a black aphrodisiac, is traditionally used for purported aphrodisiac, pro-erectile, anti-malarial, anti-fever properties. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Drawbacks. Although one rodent study, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about stupid rats? Right. Let's, we're trying to see. Safety is not established. This is from examine.com. Dosage information is unclear whether or not consumption of Fadagio Arestus is safe in any dosage, so no dosage can be recommended. Examine says nada. Not enough. So whatever Huberman's preaching, he's pulling out of a dark orifice. I'm not slamming the guy. I'm just saying, if you go to examine.com and it's not established as being safe, and B, no dosage has been recommended, there's not enough research on it, and you might as well shit that money down the toilet. You can take it if you want. I'm not going to tell you not to play around with it. Just know the science is not there. That doesn't mean the science is bad. But whatever purported benefit Huberman is elevating, you know what? You take that money you were going to spend on Tonkat Ali and Fadagio and hire me as a coach. You're going to spend the same amount of money monthly and you'll get more out of it. In fact, you'll get 20 times more out of it. You're serious about lifting? Come. Get a good coach. Me, somebody else. Doesn't matter. Spend that money on something that actually has tangible results. Because there's a lot of good coaches out there that will give you far more value for your money than any of these transient supplements of the week. Is it okay to lose reps of reduce? Why are you reducing rest between sets? You want to be consistent week in and week out. That's the first thing. So the question is, why are you reducing rest between sets? If you move to a rest pause training style and stay with that, then you're going to see an improvement in reps over time. If you just jump to a point where you're losing reps because you're rushing, then I'm not calling you stupid, Justin. I'm saying this is stupid training. Doesn't make any sense. We want to work hard, but we have to be consistent reasonably. Like we can't just rush, right? That's irrational. That's why I teach you have to be mentally and physically ready to go again. If you're not physically ready to go again, you're losing reps because you're reducing time. I have to ask you, what are you doing? You're short on gym time? Then only do 2 sets, but make them hard. But don't reduce the rest in between sets unless you're doing a specific rest pause protocol. Virus. We got that. It was a repeat. Gamboni Law Office, 1-800 Gamboni. It's not real. I just made that up. Thoughts on Ripitos? I've beaten this to death. I don't care. I'm not being dismissive. I don't care. I have my programs, Massive Iron. I don't care for minimal squat focused barbell programs because they're not best for hypertrophy. The average lifter needs machines and dumbbells as well. Over-reliance on barbells. I can tell you from a coaching standpoint, barbells take time to learn for the average lifter form. Just ask any of my clients. Deadlift and squat. Even if you're proficient at them doing a minimal program, these programs are junk. Any program can work, but they're far from being the most efficient for strength building. They're old. They're dinosaurs. That's my opinion, and I won't die on many hills, but I'll die on that hill. There are far better ways to train. But I gained, yes, you can gain on it. If you work hard, I could gain on that program. That doesn't mean it's not the most efficient. They're dinosaur programs. Do your 5s, live in dinosaur world. Do only lifts that have a high learning curve that most lifters will take 2 to 3 years to even come close to mastering. In the meantime, they're chewing up their lower back. Look, if your squats and deads are perfect out of the gate, I still wouldn't have you doing these types of minimal programs. We need to build a base. He also believes 20% body fat is okay. It is okay. Cardio is not needed. That speaks for itself, folks. If you want, look, I'm saying this politely. Okay. I don't know the context. I don't know what he said, but I'm just addressing what you put here. Cardio is not needed. Really? Are we going to be that person? Movement is life, right? Movement is essential for good health. If you just want to be some fat Slobachevsky that has a 350 bench and permabulks and just wants to sit and never be active, it's your life. I'm not in that world. The secular sapien. And thanks for the donation. Any tips on dealing with Baker's cysts? They come and go. But RDLs doesn't hams. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That smells like progress. But I know it can be frustrating. So I'm no medical expert. I just play one on TV. No, I don't like to deal with medical issues. I'm not, I deal with, I stay in my lane. A Baker's cyst is a fluid-filled sac that forms in a popliteal fossa, which is located in the posterior aspect of the knee, like on the back of the knee. Commonly associated with degenerative conditions of the knee, and patients may present with tightness, discomfort, or pain below the knee. How serious is a Baker's cyst? It may cause no symptoms or it may cause a bulge. Baker's cysts aren't dangerous and they may go away on their own. So it doesn't sound like they're dangerous. The only thing I would say, this comes to any, when addressing any injury, we have to focus on what we can do. So if these lifts are bothering you, we have to ask, are there variations we could do, like the hex bar, like the rack pull, block pull? Do those feel better? RDLs, can you do a glute ham raise on a back extension or a glute ham or something like that that feels better? We have to try some exercises. We have to see if any of them work better. That's the best way to go. Guns and Cafe, one of my favorite rock bands. Just kidding. Oh, it's Guns N' Roses. Bad humor. Finally cleared up to train after bicep surgery, thinking about coming back with full body, 1 set per exercise. Yeah, it sounds fine. Allow yourself time to ease in. Don't pressure yourself. Don't try to rush the healing process. Go light on your rows and your curls. Give it more time than you want. That's really a key when it comes to recovery. Give it more time than you want. Steve, just got my A1C back. Following your blueprint, got it down from 10 to 5.5, not going back to eating like a butthole anymore. And will continue to be active. Lifestyle is medicine. Of all the words that have babbled out of my mouth today, and of all the words that you guys have typed out, those 3 words are the most important. Lifestyle is medicine. What do you think is the best training time, Meals, for someone working 9 to 5? Well, I will say the most common thing I get from people that train in the morning is, this sucks, right? But it sucks less the more you do it. I did the 9 to 5, and it's 2 half dozen of one, a dozen the other, whatever, however the saying goes. The downside of training after work is you can just have a kick in the balls day, right? Where work kicks you in the balls, kicks you in the vagina, whatever you got, right? You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to be crude. But you got to be really equipped to let things slide off your back and to go in the gym and nail it, because it can really bring you down, right? Training early is going to have negatives. You got to get up. You got to get it done. It might not always feel good, but it does get easier with time. It really comes down to what suits you best. I will say, though, if you want to give morning training a shot, give it some time. What I see more often than not is somebody will get up on Monday, boom, 5 o'clock, nail the workout. We are rolling. And then they get home and they're like, blah, 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 right? And then the alarm goes off Tuesday morning and they're like, blah, 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 right? They're just like, nah, we good. The biggest battle is with the alarm clock if you get up on time. But you have to learn to fight the alarm clock. You might not get up on Tuesday, if you like my sound effects, but you got to keep fighting that battle. It really comes down to what's going to be best for you and most sustainable. If work just kicks you hard and you need to go home and eat and veg, train after 5 o'clock, and then having that cluster in the gym, wow, that can be a mess. So let's see. What do we got here? What do we got? I got an A1C question coming up. And I just want to post something up here. All right. I've been having slight pain under my pec when benching. That's not good. One of the fears I have personally is any weird connective tissue stuff related to pecs, because pec tears and bicep tears are very common, not super common, but probably some of the more common lifting related injuries, usually guys that are going way overboard. I'm scared of tearing. Just remember, all the videos you're seeing, usually those are big guys using big cycles, using big weights, okay? 95% of the time. Hoping to get 315 for reps. If you're having pain under your pec, you probably need to try to go to lower intensity weight-wise, like 185 for sets of 10 to see if it bothers it, and try to do some volume for a while until it improves. Does that make sense? That's what I would do. Going to gym during January when it's crazy. Any tips on adapting to other exercises? I guess we have to have a plan B. So if I walk into a gym and I'm going to do bench and and I see that the incline station's never taken, I'm going to go to plan B, which is incline. Or just hammering out the dumbbells. Or understanding you might have to do machine chest press first and then move on to bench a little bit pre-fatigued, and it's okay to drop weight. It's okay to adjust. We just have to, because the whole point is to train hard. Unless you're trying to set a world record on bench, you can shuffle exercises around. You just have to do it intelligently and understand you might have to drop weight. I tried bulldozer, which is rest pause, on barbell curls. Now he said only 11, 3, 3, 2, 2. Yeah, that's the way it works. Bulldozer is limited, like use the same weight, okay? And you're doing 5 mini sets. Rest 15 to 20 seconds between sets. So you do all out max safe reps, rest 15 to 20 seconds, then repeat that for 5 mini sets. So it's like one per long set. You got 14, 17, 19, 20. That's a little bit on the low end. That's probably because your work capacity is a little bit getting used to it. But still, that's the average of 3 sets by 7 reps, okay? You got 21 reps. These reps are more impactful than 3 straight sets. So yes, it's basically the equivalent of 3 sets of 7, but with much harder work. We want to get that up to 12. We want to get it up to 13. When you get it up to 13, and it's time to add weight, it's going to be like 13, 5, 4, 3-3, right? 13, 5, 4, 3, 3. So 13, that's 22. That'll be like 20. That'll be like close to 3 sets of 9. So it's going to vary a little bit, but yes, that's plenty of reps. Oscar, update from leaving personal training, but applying to every and any job and upskilling to get my job in IT. Maybe down the road. I worked with Oscar, and Oscar was trying to do the online training thing and ran into something that I run into a lot is those that want to help you upscale. Like they want to help you bring in clients at like $2,000 a piece, high ticket stuff, which is just basically, there's a whole industry out there that's trying to sell trainers on the fact that they can just get a bunch of clients at $2,000 a pop. You're working too hard. Hang tough, man. Tried a 10-minute deadlift block for the first time. Loved it. Thanks for another great training tool. You're welcome. For those of you guys that don't know the 10-minute deadlift block, basically you're putting on one weight on the bar. You start with about 70% of your 1 rep max. And you do only singles or doubles. Single or double. Stand up, release the bar, take a deep breath. When you feel physically and mentally ready to go again, you attack. Okay. This allows you not to be limited by your cardiovascular, your work capacity. It's less likely that your lower back is going to be the limiter because you're not pushing sets deep. You're still doing rest pause. You're working on form consistency. It's a very fun and engaging tool and a good way to train the deadlifts that won't kill your lower back as much, that won't turn deadlifts into something that's limited by your cardiovascular system. Miggy 002. I thought that was an old school muscle and brawn shirt on for a minute. Realistically, how many weeks should you give a contest prep if you're at 15%? Well, I don't know your body fat percentage, okay? I will tell you a couple things I've learned. Number one, if we think we're at 15%, we're probably at 20%, okay? Or maybe a little bit higher. Number two, whatever amount of weight you think you need to lose, you probably need to lose 10 or 15 pounds more than you think to get in the shape that you want to get in. So let's just go on the 10 to 15. That's going to probably be a couple extra months. I would need to know your weight, your height, and if you want to send a current picture for a body composition analysis. I know where naturals compete at. I can assess where you're at. I'd be happy to do that for free, but you need to have somebody with an acute eye on things to be able to tell you where you are at and what's a reasonable target if you nail things. Big JC, happy Friday, big hairy ugly dude. How important is it to hit your daily protein needs? If you're in a bulk, if your calories are consistent, carbs are protein sparing. Meaning if you're in a deficit, it's more likely your protein is going to be used for energy. You only ate 100 grams. That's what I recommend for women. Johnny, we love you, but you're in the corner of shame, my friend. What did you eat? 10 donuts? Chicken breast? Dude, we need to talk. You need to be a little bit more consistent, my friend. 100 is what I'm trying to get women to eat. Don't drink and live. Amen. Carlton, good afternoon. Just checking in from the road. Thank you, Carlton. I appreciate you tuning in. Dreamer. Machine rows versus cable rows. Nope, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that in the Massive Iron world. When you have an either or question, what's the best answer? Both. If you're interested in both, do both. Do one week and one the next week. Amen. Simple solution. a better solution because you get in a little bit more variety. Hey, when will you record a video about specialization bars? I've never done one. I have a deadlift bar here, my bar here, a specialty squat bar, a buffalo bar. The only thing I don't have is a legit safety squat bar. So I'll think about it. I'll see what I can do. And I don't need to have all the bars, obviously, to do a video on it. So let me put that in my notes. Let me put that in my notes. We're going to do specialty bars video. We'll put it on my to-do list. All righty. What do you got? Where are we at? Just buying you a large coffee. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. No one has to do that sort of thing, but it's much appreciated. How would I know if I overtrain? You'd know if you're overtrained. 3 or 4 days a week strength training. It's unlikely you're going to overtrain. You might wake up in the morning and feel like dry gas. If you do, you probably need to pull back a little bit on the cardio. We can't really pull back on the lifting, but it's hard to overtrain. It's super hard to overtrain, so I wouldn't worry about it. Big CJ tuning in now. Thank you. Sorry, I'm late. Hey, always here. Always here. That's one thing about me. I'm always here somewhere. I had to teach my coworker how to prep and pollinate corn. Not sure if that's code speak. Sorry. Crude humor. Couldn't resist. It's Friday. Bad jokes. I never really figured out or knew how many days a week I should exercise based on how consistent I can be. I always tell people to start light and to build in. Start light, build in. You want to be consistent more than anything. And you have to understand that even if you only train every third day, that consistency is going to facilitate good progress. If you are missing whole weeks, that's when you really get into trouble. So just try to be reasonably consistent. Do you think the cable station shrug is a good idea? Anything is a good idea if it has a potential for progressive overload and it's executed properly. The good thing with a shrug is you can get a lot of mileage out of pretty much anything if you do it right. So yeah, I think you can do some good work there. I would use straps, Versa grips, to make sure your grip isn't the limiter. The punch and clock analogy is so true, and I've never heard anyone refer to bodybuilding that way, but it is that way over time. It is. It's not confusing the muscles. It's not doing the old switcheroo trick and 1 week doing burpees and the next wall ball. It's like brushing your tooth. Every day before you go to bed, you got to brush your tooth. That's the way it is with lifting. Robert, do you have any tips for getting into powerlifting? Number one, you don't need to test your 1 rep max. You need to go to a 1 rep max calculator site to estimate your 1 rep max. There's no need to train your 1 rep max. Powerlifting, to get into it, you sign up. That's it. You probably need somebody to help you set your lifts so you don't waste your time on the platform. I help people with that. But just dive in. You want to find a local meet that's not too big, because the big meets can take forever and they're mentally draining. If you don't know how to do so, join Team Massive Iron. We'd be glad to help you. KV 1991. Also, big, hairy, and ugly dude. I echo the sentiments of Joy Pass. Sorry. Thank you for answering every question. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anybody that takes a moment to say a kind word is a good person in my book, not just to me, but to anybody. We can be such a negative society where we just slam everybody, but anybody that takes time to say a kind word is much appreciated. Morning Big Hair Regular Dude. What's your top don't waste your money on home gym equipment item? This is a good question. So, in my experience, this might not be what you think, but in my experience, there's a couple things I wouldn't spend money on. Number one would be a leg extension, leg curl station. Hear me out, okay? I have one. In my home gym time, I've had one good one and 3 bad ones. There are a lot of ganky leg extension, leg curl stations. You need to do your research before you spend your money on one. Number two, leg press stations get super expensive. You need to either try one of these out or just get the leverage squat from Titan. I would probably recommend you get a leverage squat from Titan or a similar piece of equipment before you get a leg press. Going to be super expensive, and if you don't get a chance to try it out, sorry, I'm still a little sick, you might be incredibly frustrated with the money investment. Now, one thing I see from home gymmers, and this is a smaller thing, but I see a lot of them buying a lot of little periphery items that they never use. I have them around here. Oh, look, that attachment looks great. That wall ball looks great. That box looks great, right? And just occurring a bunch of stuff that you'll never use. What is the likelihood that you're going to use it? Nicholas, I don't know if it's habit, but my sleep hygiene is consistent overall, but I cannot sleep more than 6 hours. Well, some of the research shows, indicates that consistent sleep, even if it's lower sleep, is better than up and down sleep. So if you do 4 hours one, 8 hours the next, sometimes being consistent, it allows your body to be a little bit more routine. So I would just try to be consistently bad, if that makes sense. JM, have you ever tried experiment with any of John Meadows' training philosophies? I talked with John maybe 6-7 years ago. When I was at Tiger Fitness, we were trying to promote his supplement line, Granite. And I was trying to get him to put together a workout. So he was very hesitant to put on any information he gives to clients, very guarded. I think there's a whole world, and I could be wrong, of information John Meadows shared that's not in a centralized location that we're probably missing. So I'm a little bit sad about that. I watch some of his videos, but not en masse, right? I don't watch a lot of them. I watch enough to respect it. There are some things I take away from it, some things I don't personally like to do, but no, probably I wouldn't say really anything. I'm really caught up in my world, so I don't really overly focus. And I haven't really overly focused on John. Have you, sorry. Very good I was trying not to burp. Very good vegetable supplement that very few people use is garlic and ginger. You know, it's been a long time since I looked at it, but ginger used to get a lot of hype, and so did garlic. And I'm sure examine.com has some good information on it if anybody wants to get up to speed. Thank you for spending so much time on these Q&As each week. I learn a lot by listening. I appreciate you guys listening. One of the hard things for me is doing these and wondering if they're helpful and trying to get more people to ask questions, because we get so many people that watch this each week, and I'm not a major channel like Greg Doucette or whatever. You know, I used to get 1,000 views on these. Now it's more around 900, 800. But I just want to encourage you guys If you have a question, even if you think it'd just be a good discussion question, just post it up. You know, don't hesitate to post it up. Me, 1, 2 tree. Hey man, love your work. Thank you. I have a sponsorship offer for you. Not interested. Sorry. I don't do sponsorships, and I appreciate the offer, but I will never do a sponsorship. It's just a personal philosophy. I will not tie myself to anybody. I will not do review videos. Anything I recommend is because I use. I love Force of Nature meats. I love VersaGrip Pros. I love Monster Energy drinks. I love Mark Bell Slingshot. All the things I love are things I use and love. And I coach full time. I sell a lot of programs, which I'm very blessed to be able to do so. I don't want for anything, right? And I hope you understand from an integrity standpoint, I will never take a sponsorship. Never. Unless you give me free meat. We're just kidding. I mean, I get a lot of emails from one thing a YouTuber gets that you guys don't see is endless emails. Hey man, I got this massager, or I got these exercise thingies. We'd like to send you a free thing if you'll do a review. No, I'm not. I don't do that. Like, what would I take a sponsorship over? Well, if it was meat, maybe, right? Because I already eat meat. Like, hey, I eat meat. And they gave me meat. So I like their meat. That would feel a little bit awkward, right? Their meat's better meat. Like, I love Force of Nature because they deliver lightning quick. I've used them for 1.5 years. I find them to be a good value. Their products always arrive locked on, squared away. So if a company I use and promote would say, we want to give you free meat because you do so much to promote us out of just liking our product, I probably wouldn't turn it down, but I wouldn't do a review video. I would probably say, hey, they gave me some free meat and I really like their meat. And if you like their meat, you might like their meat, right? I've literally sold probably 1,000 VersaGrip Pros and 1,000 Mark Bell Slingshots over the years just from promoting them endlessly. I've got a penny for them. I don't even think they know I'm selling them for them. So, Andreas, every morning 6 to 7 in my gym, there are 6 to 10 older people. My God, I got this vision in my head of the locker room, the way the old dudes are. The old dudes tend to just wander around the gym like with their noodles flapping around, right, in the locker room. I train them with bands and some lightweights. That's what a strong body and mind does. Respect. Yeah, I mean, all the humor aside, because like we all been there with some of the older dudes in the gym. But I respect anybody that's like, it's easy for us to look back or look at these guys that are 70 and 80 and go, bands, that might be the only card I haven't played at 70, right? No matter what fight you fight, fate is going to pull cards from your deck. It's going to pull cards from your deck, and you're going to have more limited cards left, even if you don't do anything wrong. I mean, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to lose cards as well. Nicholas, we got about 7 questions left. So if you guys have any questions, get them in now. Whenever I hear don't do or need cardio, my first thought is I hate cardio workout. I don't know, like, I don't want to rant about this, but anybody that tells you not to get in activity is an idiot. Number one, the body's not that fragile. You're not going to lose strength. I mean, look at all the athletes, rugby players, football players, in great shape. Most of us would want their body, and they're just running around like madmen all the time. I have no words other than they're idiots. Derek, body is tough. I have epilepsy, pacemaker, got shot in the knee, so no excuses. You got cards in play. You're playing the cards, Derek. Much respect. If a wider grip on bench will add stress to shoulders, no, not inherently. Since my shoulder is still a bit irritated, would it be a good idea to bring my grip in a little bit? There's no right or wrong answer. Like going deeper on a lift can place more stress. Elbows can place more stress on your shoulders. So there's going to be a varying degree of what gets hit for you, front delts, side delts, whatever on a press. Whenever we're dealing with irritation, we have to play around with things to see what feels better, if that makes sense. Have you ever trained someone who was an endurance athlete first? Oh, yeah. I'm training for a living, man. I have people that I have over in the UK. I have people that compete at a high level of jiu-jitsu first and strength training second. Boxers, athletes, baseball players. I have endurance runners. I have all kinds of things. Absolutely. Shelley, do you have any guidance specific to lowering A1C, or was that a reference to your general guidance? I need to help my husband. So A1C, also known as the hemoglobin A1C or HbA1c test. This is a test for the A1C. Is a simple blood test that measures your average blood sugar levels over 3 months. Okay. A1C levels. For people without diabetes, the normal ranges for hemoglobin A1C level is between 4 to 5.6. 5.7 to 6.4 means you have prediabetes, etc. So I had type 2, have. Your husband needs to look at his diet, okay? Look at his sleep and look at his exercise. This is just the 3 prongs, maybe even alcohol. 3 prongs of the devil's pitchfork. He needs to get rid of as much white sugar, white flour as possible. And then maybe deep fried foods. Bread, chips, cookies, fish fingers, deep fried, all that kind of stuff. White sugar, white flour, and deep fried foods. Out as much as possible. Need to regulate sleep as much as possible. And needs to get in some activity. Doesn't have to be resistance training. I know alcohol impacts it as well. As somebody with type 2, I am not forever just cured because I exercise and eat right. I have leanings. If me and my wife stay up, and I have days like this because I'm human, where I get like 6.5 hours of sleep, had 4 beers, and maybe a couple of small bags of chips or whatever. My type 2 kicks my butt like I can't even describe. My blood sugar is crazy, weird. I have found sleep, bad food choices, subpar food choices, and alcohol are 3 big factors. Now, we exercise. That's obviously important. But even if you exercise, I found those to be incredibly important factors. So, needs to minimize white sugar, white flour, and probably fried foods. needs to regulate sleep and minimize alcohol. Big JP, sometimes I can't do barbell overhead or barbell bench because they're all taken. I have to wait in a long line. I would just, I would just tell them all to move. If I do them on dumbbells, how much weight should I do? You're gonna have to find that for yourself. If your overhead press is 180 by 8, I'd probably start with 40s for 3 sets of 10 just to see, and with bench maybe 50s. Just see what you can do. If you can only bench every other workout, you're going to be okay. If you get more than 2 weeks away from a bench session, then you might want to drop it 10%. JM, the Q&As are incredibly helpful. Thank you, but I try to be respectful. You spam it, man. Listen, there's nothing worse than coming here and not having questions. More questions are better. Seriously, don't hold back, guys. You're not bothering me. This is good stuff. Do you know the equivalent of VersaGrip Pros in Europe? I've seen people with Cobra grips. You could get them in Europe. I don't know. I would look for Cobra grips. There's so many rip-off variations of these things. And I say rip-off, I don't mean they're trash, but I know some of my folks use Cobra grips. Thanks for your help. Love your videos. You've helped my lifts a lot. Thank you. Appreciate that, Robert. What are your opinion on heavy kettlebell swings? Good for the old glutes and hips. You can do them frequently. I would do them after hypertrophy work is done. And I'd probably, I don't know, do them every day. I don't know that I'd do them before posterior chain days like squats and deadlifts. I'd probably come in pretty rested. Do you know any good incline bench with ligates? I had a bench from New York Barbell that had a leg extension that I didn't mind the leg extension, but I hated the leg curl. I don't even know if New York let me check. You guys have time. I have time. New York. Like, what else are we doing but talking lifting, right? So New York Barbells is kind of a Genki site. They're old school, right? But their equipment always served me well, so I'm not hating. I'm going to share the screen, share screen. You can find some of their stuff TDS on Amazonia. So I told you they got a Genki website. Product list, the big random black button in the middle of nowhere. Benches, bing, bang, bang. I had something like that, but it had a bench thing in the middle. I think I had this thing. The Super Mega. Well, yeah, this is what I had. I had the Mega Olympic Super Bench. That was my first home gym bench. It's $349. And you see they had the little dippy whippy things. And you can also get this leg curl attachment, which I put on mine. It's not found. Okay, that's not good at all. But that's what I had. Apparently it's not found, so that stinks. All right. Rico, would you rather be a bear or gorilla? Well, eating fish, man. I don't know about that. I don't know. I'd probably rather be a gorilla. Yeah, I swear I'm going to blow up the chat. Go for it, man. Barbell Beauty is over. My overhead press is 80 by 4. Do you think I can reach? Yeah, absolutely. I don't like low reps, so I work within the 5 to 7 rep range. It makes me nervous when I see you down around 4s because I think it's a little bit low. Big Chris Jackson. Last question, guys. Last call. Get it in now. Type fast. If anyone has debated getting a program built by Steve, I recommend it. I've completed my first week, a program for him, and it's brutal yet time efficient. I'm glad to hear that. I do custom workouts for only $69, and I'll build you something based on your equipment needs, etc. All right, guys, that's it. We made it through another live. That's a good day. I got to work. I'm going to be working Liggies tomorrow, working on my new book. We got a training app coming out. Folks. Got a training app coming out. And keep your ears to the ground. We're going to be doing beta before you know it. So just keep your ears to the ground on that. JM press for big triceps. Yeah, it's a good exercise. A lot of my clients like it. That's it, guys. Talk to you later. If you need coaching, superlivingtoday.com. I would love to help. Oh, Harut snuck one in right about when I was about to punt. Do you think hitting traps hard with deads and shrugs could negatively affect? Yes, it could. That's a very good question. Because the traps are worked. Something's going to give a little bit. I don't think, like, these are questions I ask myself. Is it going to overly affect shoulder pressing? I think you're going to acclimate, and I don't think the traps are going to be a limiter, if that makes sense. Have a massive weekend, and we are out of here.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.